Greetings YouTube, Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Today we're looking at a game called Factorio. Factorio is a survival crafting game set in space. You are an astronaut who has crash landed on a hostile alien planet, and it's your job to create a new colony for your brethren and to fight off the hostile aliens who are currently inhabiting the planet. You do this by using the resources you'll find in the world, along with logic and a bit of automation, to build a giant, self-sustaining, self-replicating automatic base. Now this is easier said than done, and this game is extremely hard. So I'm here to give you a bit of a guide to start you off in this game and hopefully get you up and running very quickly with a minimum amount of downtime and the most efficient base design. The first thing you want to do is determine if you're in a good starting location. A good starting location means that you'll be near to all of the primary resource types and that you're not too close to an alien nest. Alien nests are marked with these pink splotches on your map. You'll see there's one to my far left. These are hostile and approaching one is suicide. Try to settle as far away from one of these as possible. We've got a good distance between us and the nest, but they will eventually attack us. The next thing you want to do is check your proximity to resources. This is coal, and coal is the primary fuel for you. You'll be using it for using a mine, you'll be using it for fueling a smelter, you'll be using it for generating electricity, and this is pretty much your absolutely vital fuel. Until you unlock solar power, you are going to be completely reliant upon fossil fuels like coal. The bigger patch that you have, the longer that your base will thrive until you need to seek out alternate means of power. Next we have our copper, and copper is used for virtually all electronics. It is a critical resource to have, and later on in the game, virtually every item you build will have copper required. Again, the bigger the patch of copper you've got, or the more numerous patches, the longer you'll be able to remain in your base without expansion. A patch like this will serve our needs very well. The next resource is iron, and iron is something that you will need a lot of. It's probably arguably more valuable than coal, or more valuable than copper, because virtually every structure and every unit you build will require iron. You will need to mine this as soon as possible. Again, a bigger patch of iron means that you will have a base that is more sustainable in the long run. Now, the next thing you're going to need is stone, and stone isn't as vital as these other resources. A small patch is more than enough. And that's exactly what we've got here to the north. A small patch of stone, that's enough for us to build all the mine smelters and mining equipment that we need. The next thing you want to be looking for is water. The closer you are to water, the quicker you'll be able to use that water to build yourself a steam generator and generate electricity. We'll be covering electricity in a future tutorial. The last thing you'll need is wood, and spawning close to a forest is ideal, but if you don't have wood nearby, you'll be able to find these broken trees. Dead trees can also be cut up for wood. Now, once you have all of these resources, you want to set your base up as close to the middle of them as possible. The reason why you want to do that, of course, is to have the minimum viable distance between each of these points and your central base. So I would set up my base here. We'll cover some more advanced techniques on routing resources to your central base so that you don't need to go and collect them manually. But for now, we need to build a mine. The first thing we're going to do is gather some coal. By pressing E, you can bring up your inventory menu, and on the right we have the crafting menu here. The crafting menu has 4 tabs. The first tab is logistics and covers storage units such as chests, both iron and wood, used to store valuable materials. Transport belts, which are used to transport materials to and from locations. Burner inserters, which are basically robotic arms that will automatically move resources from one location to another. These are commonly used to move ore from transport belts into either boxes or into a smelter for processing into iron or copper plates. The electric pole is used when you have a working electric generator to route electricity around your base. Pipes are used to transport water or oil around your base, depending on what you want to build. Stone bricks are used to build a basic rock wall. I don't find these too useful. I prefer to have an open plan sort of base and rely on automatic turrets for defense, but it depends upon your play style. Under production, we've got our iron pickaxe, and this is the iron tool that you'll be using to manually mine your resources at the start of the game. Repair packs are used later in the game when you have access to robotics and to some more powerful units which you can repair. The boiler is used when you pump water out of a nearby water source to transform that water into steam. The steam goes into this steam engine which you can build to convert the water to electricity. The mining drill is an automatic mine which is used to pull resources out of the ground: coal, copper, or stone. The electric mining drill is an upgrade to the normal mining drill, which uses electricity and will gather resources more efficiently. The offshore pump is used to pump water out of a river or oil out of an oil pit. The stone furnace is a smelter. Basically, it will take raw ore and it will transform it into the corresponding iron or copper plates. Finally, the laboratory is our one-stop shop for all of our research and requires electricity, so we'll be covering the laboratory in a future tutorial. Intermediate products are the different items that you can break down raw materials into, and they include wood, iron plates, copper cables, iron sticks, cogs, electronic circuits, and research packs for laboratories. We'll be covering how you use these a little bit later in the game, but what I will mention is the way in which you build items in this game. Whenever you go to build an item, you'll see there's a list of resources that you need to build it. In the case of this transport belt, we need one iron plate and one iron gear wheel. Now, what you can also do is go by the total raw. Down the bottom you'll see the total raw, and that means the absolute total resources you need to build an item. If you have 1 second of time and 3 iron plates, your character will automatically build this transport belt by using 2 of the iron plates to make the iron gear wheel and the 3rd iron plate to assemble the transport belt. Keep in mind that if you want to build anything early in the game, just go by the total raw resources to determine if you have enough resources to build an item. Later on in the game, when you build automatic units which can make these components rather than you having to build them by hand, you'll be building things like iron gear wheels and iron sticks. But early in the game, you want to use the total raw resources because you haven't enabled mass production yet. Finally, we have combat, and combat is where we get our weapons, ammunition, and of course later on things like radar and automatic turrets. Automated defenses are found in this tab here as well. Now the first thing we want to do is of course mine some of this coal, because we need fuel. So we're going to build a pickaxe, again taking into account the total raw. We need 1 second of time and 4 iron plates. We start with 8 iron plates. So we're going to grab 10 coal. As I mentioned before, coal is a one-stop fuel source for all of your needs. What we're going to do is we're going to try and gather all of this coal until we've got about 10. When we have 10 coal, we're going to build a mine on the metal patch. Here we go. So we're going to run down now to the metal patch on our left. Now you start the game with one automatic mine or a burner mining drill and one stone furnace. When you build items, they'll show up in your hotbar down the bottom here. Place the mine down, and you'll notice that there is a little arrow on the mine. The arrow determines where the raw resource will be placed once it's pulled out of the ground. The other thing that you'll notice is the little icon for fuel. That means that this is a fuel powered device, or in this case it uses coal. So we're going to fuel this up and this will begin to mine a resource for us. Place half of our fuel into the burning mining drill, and you'll see that it's now pulling resources out of the ground, but it's dumping them on the ground and it's not actually doing anything. We need something to actually place the resources into, and this is where a smelter comes in. Now that we've placed the smelter down, it's automatically pulling the resources out of the ground and dropping them into the smelter. By fueling the smelter is now processing the raw iron into iron plates. We'll need this to begin expanding our mining operation. So we're going to come back here in a little bit, but for now we're going to go to the north and we're going to gather by hand a little bit of stone. Now the reason why we're gathering stone, of course, is because we want to build another mine. And the mine requires, looking at the total raw, 5 stone and 9 iron plates. So we're gathering a little bit of stone, and we want about 15 stone. This will allow us to build 2 mines and 1 furnace. This is a bit of a tedious process, and you can see why I am trying to move away from this and to try and use a bit of automation to make our lives a little bit easier. Now I'm heading down here and I'm going to try and go back and see if our little furnace has smelted any more iron for us. Now to gather resource out of a mine or out of a furnace, hold down the control key and left click on it. You can see here that we pulled 19 iron plates for a total of 26 iron plates. I now have more than enough resources to gather our second type of resource, which is of course our coal. I don't want to mine this by hand because this is inefficient. The next thing you want to do is build 2 burner mining drills. Again, we're taking into account the total raw, so we needed 10 stone and 18 iron plates. Place the first mining drill down, and we want to make sure that it's facing to the right. And the second mining drill, and face it to the left. You can do this by pressing the R key to rotate the direction in which the mine will output its resources. Now you might have a bit of an idea of what I'm doing here, but I'm going to mine 1 bit of coal. I'm going to put the coal in the first mine, and then what we're going to do for you programming aficionados out there, we've created an infinite loop. This mine will mine coal and place it in the second mine, and the second mine will mine coal and place it in the first mine. Essentially, these mines will mine coal forever. The only exception to that is when they actually fill up. These will only store 50 coal, so eventually they will actually fill up with coal, so I will occasionally have to go back to them to pull coal out of the mine. But as long as I keep doing that, we now do not need to mine coal by hand. What we do need to do, unfortunately, is we do need to manually fuel these mining drills and furnaces. Yes, it's a bit of a pain, but I can guarantee you it's a hell of a lot faster doing it this way than it is by gathering by hand. Now we've got another little problem. I have to gather stone by hand, so let's fix that little problem next. Going to gather a little bit more stone. And I think you're seeing a bit of a pattern here already. We're working smart. We're trying to build a base where everything runs itself. Now, stone operates a little bit differently to other resources. You don't need to break it down. So what we're doing is we're making sure this is facing south. And we're going to build an iron chest. We need to go and get some more coal, but remember, we've automated our coal mining, so we just have to go here and gather some more. And fill up our little stone miner. So what this is now doing is it's automatically gathering stone, and it's going to place it in this box here. Remember that if you don't have an output slot for this, it will only mine one unit and it will stop. So if you don't have a furnace or you don't have a box here, you're going to need to use a transport belt to ensure that the resources are moving away from the mine, so it will continually mine more. In the case of our two mines here, we just need to keep going back to make sure that we're pulling out all of the coal. So we've got quite a nice little operation here, but it's not perfect. We're still not mining any copper, so we can easily fix that, but I'm going to need a little bit more iron. I'm also going to refill these because, as you can see, the furnace and the mine are nearly empty. So as I said before, you can see a bit of a pattern here. We're just basically gathering resources, and we're using those resources to build more mines, and then we're just gradually building up our little collection of mines to make sure that everything is running automatically. And I'm basically following the same procedure again. Drop a mine, face it outwards from the patch of resources, place down a furnace, go and get some fuel, and fuel these bad boys up. Now you might notice that there's a little bit of a problem. We are actually using more coal than we're actually mining. So we're going to have trouble keeping up with just 2 coal mines. So let's double our output of coal. To do that, we're going to need more metal and more stone. But of course, since we've got that taken care of, all I have to do is go and gather some more. As you can see, we gathered 40 stone, just shy of 40 stone in a couple of minutes using a mine. Far quicker than by hand. Let's build 2 more mining drills, and those who've played some more advanced crafting games have probably already got a bit of an idea of what I'm going to do. So by rotating the mine, so the first mine is facing the second is facing the third, and the third to the fourth, we're now creating an even bigger infinite loop. And we're now gathering twice as much coal. Again, I just need to keep gathering coal from these to make sure that they do not fill up. And as long as I keep doing that, I'll always have enough coal to fuel my other mines. As you can see, we've got a little bit of copper and a little bit of metal, but of course we could use a little bit more. Now, because metal is probably our most useful resource and the one that we are the most reliant on, of course I'm going to double my output of metal as well. So again, a mine, a furnace, go and get some fuel, and we'll fill these up again. And as you can see, we've gathered 50 coal, just shy of 50 coal in a couple of minutes. Those mines will make sure that we have enough coal to keep our operation running indefinitely. And of course, there are smarter ways to do this, more efficient ways to do this. And as our base expands, we're going to look at that. But for the moment, what we've done is we've created a fully automated coal mining operation that we only need to check on every now and then. We've created a mine for copper, which is fueled by coal and will remain running for quite a long time. It's actually nice and full of coal now. And finally, we've got our metal over here. We've also created a mine for stone, which is somewhat less important than our core resources, but again, the key thing to remember when working in this game is that you want to work smarter, not harder. Mining anything by hand is something you only want to do to an absolute minimum. And we now have a base that is in a good location and is in good shape to begin our next tutorial, which is going to be on electricity. So electricity will involve us pumping the water from the nearby lake into a boiler, then the steam into a steam engine, which will then produce electricity, which we will then pipe to the rest of our base. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. I hope you found it useful. And if you did, please leave me a subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. And hopefully you'll join me for the next tutorial when we will cover some more advanced concepts such as electricity and, of course, hopefully a little bit of automation via belts. Until next time, Skill Incarnate out.